Fox 21 Savings Alert. Many people assume that living paycheck to paycheck only affects those with low incomes, but studies show it impacts people at all income brackets, including those earning six figures.
So with us right now with how we end up like this and offering tips now on how we can break out of this cycle, Bree Shalito. She's the Director of Financial Wellbeing at End. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Thanks for being here. So let's go first here. What are the signs that someone is living paycheck to paycheck even with a good income?
Sure, there's a few signs. So the first is not having any savings, neither short-term or long-term savings, but it can also be depending on credit cards. That can be one of the big ones. We're depending on those just to get by between paychecks, but also just in life, and especially if an emergency happens. So really just depending on that. Sometimes it's also depending on loans as well.
Okay, so if people think, so many people think, if I can just make X, I'll be okay.
Yeah.
But why do people across all income levels then find themselves in this cycle?
That's a great question. So it's overall inflation. Not just inflation that we're seeing. You talked about the eggs earlier. That's making a huge difference. But it's also called lifestyle inflation. So you see this adorable hamster. He's not as cute as you think because he is stuck in this hamster wheel. And how that works is we get a raise and then we just spend more money.
Right.
And we justify it all day long.
Exactly. Yeah.
So we think we need a new wardrobe, we need new electronics, but sometimes
We deserve this. We've earned this.
Yes,
right?
that earned, and yes, we have. But I think that even before we see those money come actually in through the paycheck, we have to think about our values and our goals. And we have to adjust things like our savings. We want to put more money towards the things that we want short term and long term. And this isn't just for financial health, it's for mental health. The stress that this brings to people that they don't even know that weight is on their shoulders is a really big deal.
We like to spend.
We
right?
do.
We make more, we spend more.
Exactly.
You got to think long term.
Yes.
Right? Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, so what are steps now that someone can take to just stop this?
Sure. So there's great steps you can take. Of
Yeah.
course, really putting together a spending and savings plan, that budget. We want to look at what we're bringing in, look at what we're spending, making sure that aligns with our values is always an important step. But it's also prioritizing that emergency fund first. We want to have at least something set aside for emergencies. Now, a lot of experts recommend 3 to 6 months.
Okay.
I recommend that you start small. $100 to start. Really kind of reward yourself by getting up to that first, and then maybe 1 month. You really want to have that set aside for your mental health, but also for your financial health. So we want to start with emergency savings and just really keep thinking about reevaluating our situation. Things are getting more expensive all the time, so we want to be sure we are looking at things where we can cut back.
I have a question about the emergency savings.
Yeah.
When do you dip into those? Like, is it when you're, oh, I got this big car bill, for
When I want
example.
that new TV.
I just got one of those.
Yeah.
Like, I could either put this on the credit card or I can dip into emergency savings.
Right.
How do you make that decision?
That's a great question. So it's different for everyone and what an emergency is going to look like for you. So we kind of talk about known unknowns and then unknown unknowns, which is kind of a weird concept. But if you own a vehicle, you know that it's going to eventually need tires. That's a really good example sometimes. Now, if you just got tires 6 months ago and you run over something and the tire blows out, that's an emergency. You couldn't have anticipated that, but you can anticipate the need to buy for new tires because you can see them wearing down. Same thing with a house, or if it's a repair, if it's standard maintenance, that you know is going to happen.
Okay.
That's not an emergency, although it's a big bill.
So the big game this weekend, I need a 100-inch screen television. That's an emergency.
Well,
it's happening right now.
Yes.
No?
I think we could have anticipated it. It happens around the same time each year.
Okay. Whoa, yeah. It's amazing how things happen.
Same thing with holidays, birthdays, all those things. They're coming
Plan
up.
ahead.
We got to plan ahead.
So where can we go for more information?
So we have a great webinar series this month where this breaks it down even more. We're talking about this for right about 20-30 minutes. So if folks want more, they can come to see that. Next Tuesday is our first one. And then we also always have those free financial coaches for members and non-members. No cost at all and no judgment, which is a huge piece of it too.
Okay.
Bree, thank you. Always great advice. So helpful. Love seeing you. Time right now is 8:29. We'll be back with more news and weather after this.